So, Uncle John, 30 years ago, pretty much to this week, I came and saw you out in Linden, New Jersey, and I said, "Hey, I got an idea I want to talk to you about. What do you think about me being Colavita distributor, for Michigan? What did you think back then?"
Well, believe it or not, you came at the right time because the city of Detroit and Michigan had, for years and years, favored certain brands of oil.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we even talked about that. And that was one of the difficulties that we were talking about. To get started, it's going to be difficult, And but I saw in you desire and also an opportunity to conquer what was happening in Detroit, and you wanted to replace it with something new. And at that time, I was also a pioneer because we were the first ones to start bringing in extra virgin olive oil,
Right.
and the big market in this state was pure olive oil.
Yeah. We can say the name.
You know,
We can say the name if you want.
yeah, Detroit. Well, the market was dominated by a brand called Filippo Berio,
Yep, that's right.
and everybody thought. Well, we were talking about how difficult it was going to be to replace a brand that's been in use in this city for 50 years with something brand new. But you had the desire, I had the ambition to grow the business, and you said, "Uncle John, let's get started." And I was very happy to support you, and I couldn't believe at the time your first thought. We shipped here 25 cases of olive oil. I didn't know how I was going to get it here,
Yeah.
but it finally arrived here. You had it in your garage. You put it in your car.
Yeah.
You went around to some of the Italian stores, and you found a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
However, some did give you a chance to put the oil on the shelf,
Right.
even if it was 2 bottles, 3 bottles, or 6 bottles. And slowly but surely, you were working the streets yourself. You drove the car, you put the stuff in the back of your car,
Yeah, that's right.
and you're making these deliveries. And basically, that's how we got started in New York, the same way. But I tell you, with your persistence, we met the challenge, and we met it head on, and we started making some inroads.
Yeah.
Then I don't know what. I think you moved into a small warehouse
Correct, in Detroit.
in Detroit
Yeah,
next
yeah.
to
Buddy's Pizza. Next to the original Buddy's Pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
incredible.
the first one. Yeah.
And I remember visiting with you there, and your business started to grow a little bit. I'm sure you weren't making any money at the time.
No.
because, it wasn't easy, and I'm sure you had to give a lot of deals, you had to get a lot of promotions.
Right, right.
But we supported you, and we both had a vision of creating a brand in this marketplace. And I remember that the only Italian pasta sold in this market was a brand called Amato.
Yeah,
Do you
Antonio
remember that?
Amato.
Antonio
That's-
Amato.
You're right.
Nobody would change. Nobody wanted to change. They had
Right.
Antonio Amato pasta, and they had Filippo Berio olive oil.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize what fire you had in you
That's right.
to go out and develop a business.
And the support that we got from you and
Well,
your company.
We did what we can. At that time, we were a small company, and just like you, over the years, we've grown to a very important part of the olive oil business worldwide,
Right.
and you were part of that. And today, the Colavita company, we're in over 50 countries,
Right.
and more or less, we started like we started with Tony, people that had the desire to promote extra virgin olive oil,
Right.
because that's what our business. And actually, it's not a beverage. Extra virgin olive oil is not a beverage; it's an ingredient. But somehow, you knew how to get that across to the customers.
Right. Right.
It's not a beverage.
Right.
You're not going to sell a bottle I mean, a housewife's not going to use a bottle a day.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when you started, Tony, you and I, we both looked at the consumption of extra virgin olive oil in this country, and it was like half a liter a year per person.
Yeah, very low.
Very, very low.
Yeah.
Like in Greece or Italy, the consumption was 26 liters
A year. Yeah.
per person
Yeah.
a year.
Right.
But if you look at the statistics now, Tony, I mean, we've gone up from a half a liter maybe to 5 liters, and we still have a long way to go
Right.
because
Yeah.
people still in the Midwest and certain parts of the country are still cooking with lard. They haven't been, besides all the money that you and I have been spending for advertising and promotion
Right.
and demonstrations, we still have a long way to go to convince a lot of people. All right. I mean, I'm running out of time. You you have a great future ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know, and what your desire to dominate the industry,
Right.
which what you're doing in Detroit. I mean, you started from zero.
Yeah.
Well, look at you now.
Right.
I mean, it's just like our company. We started same way you did. I used to go around with a cart putting 6 bottles of oil on Tadaro's shelf, Cinderella's shelf, Zabar's in the city.
Yeah.
And we did the shows. We did all the shows.
Yeah, that's right.
And we spent the money. We did the marketing.
What was the first restaurant that got behind you? Because I know you met a lot
That's
of
an interesting
resistance
story.
at
That's
the
an interesting
restaurants.
story.
Yeah.
When I was moving around I started, believe it or not, I started promoting the oil in supermarkets. And a friend of mine had a couple of locations. And he had me set up a table one Saturday to demonstrate the extra virgin olive oil. And what I did, put olive oil in a cup, and I had some bread, and I sat in that store. But one Saturday, it was a big shopping day, like it still is today. And people were passing by. And nobody stopped,
Yeah.
except for a lady. She stopped, she dipped the bread in the oil, she tasted it, and she walked away. And I said, "Excuse me." I ran after her. I says, "What'd you think?" She says, "I didn't like it." I said, "Why?" She said, "It was too strong, it was too flavorful, had a little burning in the throat, which is characteristic of good
Right.
extra virgin olive
Right.
oil."
Right.
So I became a little bit disheartened. I was thinking of making a career change right on the spot. However, it didn't stop me, like it didn't stop you.
Right.
So what I did is I says, you know what, maybe I'm going up the wrong challenge.
Right.
So I went to Little Italy, and I went into a restaurant, a very famous restaurant at that time. And I walked in, I had a couple of bottles of oil in my hand, and I put it on the table, and I'll never forget it. Sal Esposito, he was the owner of the restaurant. And I says, "Mr. Esposito, I'm selling extra olive oil. I'd like you to taste it. I'd like you to try it for your restaurant." He says, "Look, I know nothing about olive oil. However, let me ask the chef to come out." And I'll never forget it. Chef Donato Desiderio, that was his name, from Bari, Italy.
Okay.
And you know that growing up in my family, I understood Italian.
Correct.
Perfect.
Right.
But I couldn't speak it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But I understood everything. So the chef came out, and he tasted the oil, and he told the boss in Italian. He said, "This is what I've been looking for."
Yeah.
He says, "Don't let this young fellow leave without placing an order for this oil." And I understood everything.
Right.
So I'm standing there, and I'm saying to Sal, the owner, I said, "Mr. Esposito, what do you think?" He says, "Well, he sort of likes the oil." And he says, "And what's the price?" So right off the bat, I raised the price $5 a case in my head because I knew he was going to buy the oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he ordered 5 cases of oil.
Yeah.
I was thrilled. And I said to myself as I walked out, 2 things. Number one, how am I going to get this oil to this person? Which I delivered like you did.
Yeah.
The other thing was I figured out I was on the right track. I had to go to the specialty stores with the product, not to regular supermarkets.
Right. Right.
And right after that, we started going into some of the stores in the city, like Zabar's and Tadaro's and Cinderella's. West Side markets, and they were convinced to take a bottle or so on a shelf. But then I got lucky because what happened was the New York Times ran an article about extra virgin olive oil. And the article read that the men in Greece didn't have as much incidence of colon cancer, stomach troubles, because of their consumption of extra virgin olive oil. And I still have that plaque in my office.
Yeah.
And the Times sent out their reporters to pick up whatever oil they could find, extra virgin olive oil. And believe it or not,
You were there.
I was there. I had
Right.
a couple of bottles here, and I have a whole picture.
So a little bit of luck never hurt.
Never. Well, I attribute it. And right after that, the specialty stores started calling
Yeah.
that they wanted the oil. Not the supermarkets,
Right.
the specialty stores. But then, eventually, the supermarkets figured out that they're losing business. People were looking for good extra virgin olive oil.
Right. Right.
And we started putting it into supermarkets.
Yep.
And it's more or less that's how you started.
Right.
Right?
Same way. Sure.
Same way.
Yep.
Same way.
And now it's funny today because you mentioned the two brands, and that's great memory. You walk into any specialty market, any of our customer base from northern Michigan down to Columbus, Ohio, you don't see either of those brands on the shelf, and what you see is Colavita.
Thanks to you.
Right. Right.
And believe me, as a company, Colavita as a company, with my partners, you see right on the wall there,
Yeah.
they believed in promotion.
Right.
And they helped, I gotta say, they never turned me down if I wanted to run a promotion with you, with another distributor up in Boston.
Right.
And that helped a lot.
Yeah.
That helped a lot.
Sure.
And with tastings, and we did the shows, we did the department stores. And I always said that to be successful, as far as my business is concerned, I always said to you and to everybody, you had to travel more than your product.
Right. Right.
And which means that you had to make the inroads. You had to knock on doors. You had to convince people to take the product, and we did.
Right.
Not
And
100%, but we did.
Right. And by you traveling more than your products, you taught us the power of a relationship, and you're a relationship guy, and you got relationships all over the country now. And that's hugely important.
Yeah. Well, we treated everybody pretty much the same,
Yeah.
and we protected their territory.
Right.
I mean, if we appointed a territory, let's say up in Boston, I worked very hard to protect our distributor.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I almost turned down business,
Yeah.
but I gave them a chance to get started, just like here in Detroit.
Right.
I mean, you're the only one that's promoting our oil, and we're very satisfied, and we're protecting 100%. People come in from other states to come here.
Right. Right.
I try and discourage that, but I can't help that.
Yeah.
But because of your strength and the people rely on your service and your company and your quality, you're able to maintain a lot of that business.
Right. Correct. Yep. So the other we talked about traveling more than your products, how important that is, and with us today, as we grow larger and larger and larger, that's what I've taught my team to do. And we have big coverage area, and our directors and our VPs and CEO, they travel and they get out there and they meet. So we're in the stage now of teaching the next generation, of how to do it. So that's where we're at. Your other big philosophy, in business, there was three things you taught me that I'd never forget. When you said, "Hey, listen, we have an incredible business that we're in, and there's three things that you need. Once you put them together, your growth is unlimited." So what you remember saying that? Remember pounding that into my head?
Thing was inventory. We have to carry the inventory,
Yep.
and most importantly, the financing to
The capital behind
capital behind us. And in the beginning, it was difficult for you, for me, to convince bankers to go along with us.
it. Right.
And because we needed inventory, you got to carry inventory.
That's right.
but slowly but surely, the bankers felt comfortable with us.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they all wanted to do business with us. You see?
That's right.
I remember when I started out, the banks wouldn't give me. We couldn't get any. I couldn't get a loan because I was in the business I was in. You know?
Yeah.
The best he could do for me, I'll never. Mr. Korn, his name was Mr. Korn. He said to me, he says, "No," he says, "No, the loan is out of the question. But what I'll do for you is I'll give you an overdraft privilege of $5,000." I said, well, "At least it's something."
Yeah. Yeah.
But slowly but surely, he started looking at my activity in his bank,
Yeah.
and he said, "Hey, this guy's for real,"
Yeah.
And then we started to build up confidence, and before you know it, I got a little loan, another loan, and put it all together. I always pay back the loans,
Right,
which
right.
was so important.
Yeah. You need working capital. My finance, there used to be a chain of banks here called NBD, and people thought that was National Bank of Detroit, but for me it was National Bank of Dad. So it got to a point where he was like, "Hey, listen, I can't do this anymore. You need to get out there on your own." And that's when we started with a very small $25,000 credit line. And
More or less the same thing.
right. And today we walk through this building, there's over 10 million in inventory in here. You have to have inventory, you have to have space, right? That was the other thing. No matter how you think it is now, you got to make space for tomorrow.
Well, that's what we've done in New York also. We moved into 10 years ago. We moved into a 200,000 square foot facility with the offices, parking on a 10-acre property. And the greatest thrill I had in my life up to that point, other than my business, we're sitting around our conference table, and all the bankers that had turned me down in the beginning were all sitting around the table. There was the Bank of New York, there was a Bank of America, Chase Manhattan, Wells Fargo.
Some biggies.
All looking at we were looking for a big mortgage, and they all wanted the business.
Sure.
That was the greatest thrill I had, just sitting there listening to these guys begging for the business.
And how it was.
And how it was when I got started, because it was a big satisfaction for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we worked out pretty good with the banks. Chase Manhattan, then we went to Wells Fargo. That's our lead bank
Right.
now.
Yeah. And then the people aspect of it. I mean, you could have all the space in the world, right? And you could have all the products you need, and the capital to do it, but you need people, right? You need great people.
If you don't have the right people with you, and the most important thing, which you both of us know, you have to keep the morale up of your company.
Yeah.
The workers have to feel that they're part of a family.
That's right.
If you're looking for the productivity of an individual, you have to make him feel that he's part of the team.
Right.
And then we've been good at that. We've been very good at that.
Yeah.
So,
Culture is super important. Family culture. That's what we stress here is family culture. That's really important.
well, like even in our own private lives, our families are everything.
Right.
And,
Right.
we carry that into our business life.
That's right.
Because without the workers, you have no business. Period.
Yeah.
You have no business. Period.
Yeah.
So the future for our company, like I had said, is big, because today we look at the e-commerce business,
Right.
we look at the home delivery service business, the Hello Freshes of the world, the Amazons,
Yeah.
the Blue Aprons. These companies come out of nowhere, and they're
Right.
doing a terrific business. And also, I've seen a big increase of specialty food businesses.
Yeah.
Not tremendous supermarkets. I'm talking about specialty food business, and the business, our business, and those type of retailers are very good. As a matter of fact, if you would take an IRI data in our company, they don't include 2,000 specialty stores around the country that don't report
Right.
their their
Right.
sales and their earnings
Right.
to the service.
Right.
They'd rather keep it private.
Right.
So every time I tell everybody, when you look at our statistics and our ratings, you have to always add like 10%
Yeah.
to that number,
Right. Right.
because there's a whole slew of businesses that's not calculated. That
Right.
we're very strong in.
Yeah. And our business here in Michigan is dominated by the family-owned independent specialty markets. They do more business than the chains do in Michigan.
They've always been like that. That was a phenomenon. Like even in Chicago, it's the same thing
Yeah.
in Chicago.
That's right.
The independents doing more business than the chains.
Yep. Yep. They believe in their brands. Michigan's a branded marketplace, and Colavita's been, the top brand in all the stores. There's not a store you can walk into in Michigan and not see the Colavita brand, in the store.
Thanks
So
to you, Tony.
Yeah,
And,
no, thanks to
you
your
had-
support
listen,
also.
You had that vision 30 years ago.
yeah,
I'm 85 now. I
yeah,
was 50 when
right,
we got started, and we did good.
yeah. You were 50, I was 26. Yeah, so not so bad.
That's okay.
Yeah, so
Well, it's been a great run.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we still have a way to go.
Right now we're setting Carmela up for the next 30 years. This was the first 30 years, and we're setting the transition up. Between the space, between the capital, between the people, we're setting it up for the next 30 years. So
Well, listen, I have 4 sons, and they're all in the business with us.
right,
And if it wasn't for them as a support team, our company could not have grown as it
Right.
has grown.
right,
My son Joseph, who's an attorney.
yeah,
As a matter of fact, now he's head of the International Olive Oil Association.
right,
My son Bobby he's the chief operating officer of our company. John covers all the box stores, the chains, the internet, the e-commerce. And Anthony runs our facility in California. We have a great facility in California that we've developed over the years. So we're both heading in the right direction.
right.
And
Right.
you guys have a big future ahead of you.
Yeah, and it's the same with family here. My nephew Paul has become, partner and CEO of the company. He's been with us 16, 17 years. He's doing a phenomenal job. My niece Carmi, she's vice president. She's doing fantastic. Dee Dee's been here 25 years now, believe it or not. She's in charge of accounts receivable, and she knows where every penny's at. So, and Chris Ahey's family. There's a lot of family here, and even though we got people that have been here, 15, 20 years, 25 years, and they become part of the family too, and it's very important. We take care of everybody.
That goes back to what we were talking about. You gotta treat the people like a family, or
That's
else
it.
the productivity is going to suffer,
Right,
and they're not interested in going that extra step for you.
right. And customers appreciate family-run businesses, especially today.
For sure.
Yeah, especially today. So I had a customer call that was opening a new restaurant 2 weeks ago, and he called me on my cell phone, and I answered my cell phone, and he says, "Hey, I'm in a bind." I said, "What's wrong?" He says, I can't get the spadini to come out right." He says, what do I use? What cut do I use? What cut of meat? And I said, "Phil, this is over my pay grade." I said, "But I'm going to call my mom, because she's probably rolled 1 million spadini in her life." And I asked her, and she says, "You got to use eye of the round. Tell him use eye of the round." And I called him right back, and I said, "Phil, here, eye of the round. This is what my mom uses." And that's the difference. You can't get that from our competition. And that's what our customers appreciate about family-run businesses. So,
It's always been true that way.
yep,
Even in the big city where I come in, New York City, same thing in New York, same thing.
right,
The specialty stores have these, which become a tremendous business, is the prepared food sections of all the
Absolutely.
supermarkets.
yep,
And thank God we're there. They display our oils, they display our vinegars, our pastas.
right,
So, in other words, we've built up a trust in them
yep,
that our products are quality products.
and there's a ton of opportunity for more growth.
Oh,
So that's great. So, okay,
All right,
Very
Tony,
good.
it was great talking to you.
yep, thank
and,
you.
Reminiscing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always tell everybody, you know, at my age, I could retire now, but I have such a desire to be in the business.
Yeah.
And the challenges that every day there's a new challenge, and I'm up for it.
Yeah.
Except when I'm out playing golf.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I go to the office every day.
Yeah.
You know,
That's great.
and I'm very happy to be in that atmosphere.
Yeah. You're doing what you love to
I
do.
love to do it.
Yeah.